We have around 4 technical sessions. Some of them are running online mode, and some of them are running in offline mode. We had around 300 participants, but the problem that we had faced from last 1 week rather is that most of the participants they had already arrived here 1 week before. They had gone to the valley to for sightseeing and visiting of the some of the tourist places there. But due to this recent torrential rains, the only land connecting network between the valley and Jammu, that is the national highway, that remained blocked due to landslides, as you may be aware through news and press briefings given by the uh, traffic, police, and civil departments. And even today, there were many of the participants that had left the station I were trying to reach here, but somehow they have been stuck in midway. And they were pressing us, please, 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 we want to be in the first session. We do not want to miss the these lead lecture series. So kindly, will you please delay it a bit? So the organizer, being generous enough, kept it delaying a little bit so that they could arrive. But unfortunately, they could not make it. So we have to arrange a separate online session for them also. So that is why the session that was scheduled to be held at rather 11 a.m. got a bit delayed. So now we have almost catered all our participants, those participants who could not make it here, despite being registered for the offline presentation, offline presence. We have made separate arrangements for them through online. In addition to the already aspirants, already those participants, those who were already in the online session. So without wasting further time, we will begin this first lead lecture session with the lecture of Dr. Suhail Ahmed. Dr. Suhail, I don't believe that he needs any introduction. He is a well-known scientist in the field of agriculture, in the field of grasslands, in the field of research. He has many, many publications in reputed journals. He often will be seeing him spotting often in international conferences, and is a well-traveled abroad within India. I, with very humbleness and with due respect, request Dr. Sahil Ahmed to please come forward and present his lead lecture. A bit of applause for this person, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adil, for your kind words. As and a very warm welcome to all of you to this wonderful abode of Shri Mata Vaishno Devi. You might be aware that one of the leading personalities from this particular region, he is known as Baba Jitto. You might be knowing the name. He is a very well-known figure here. He was basically a farmer, but a revolutionary figure. He rose to the occasion and fought for the people, fought for his farming community, and won the battle. So जो landlord system था, that was abolished way back in 1950s, and he was a pioneer here in this region. So he was also from this particular region and a very staunch devotee of Shri Mata Vaishno Devi. And I wholeheartedly welcome all of you. And मैं बहुत ही मतलब क्या मैं कहूँ कि फील अच्छा नहीं कर रहा हूँ. मैं अभी डॉक्टर साहब से भी बात कर रहा था. बेसिकली इट गॉट डिलेड बाय मतलब इतना टाइम कि आप लोग शायद बेयर नहीं कर पाए होंगे. बट ड्यू टू एज मेंशन्ड बाय मिस्टर आदिल, रोड ब्लॉक हो गया और हमारे जितने भी पार्टिसिपेंट्स थे वो नहीं आ पाए। तो यहाँ पे नेटवर्क का भी इशू था, क्योंकि जो ऑनलाइन मोड है, यू नो दैट देयर आर टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस इन्वॉल्वड, और हम टेक्निकल में होते नहीं है। So that's the reason we are starting late. I apologize for that on behalf of NEDCL. Now coming to the conference, as you might be aware about the theme of the conference, we often talk about what is the beauty of this particular conference. There are participants. I also welcome the participants who are joining online, and the technical team, Mrs. Hamida Naeem. Thank you for conducting this online session as well. So the theme is advancements, whatever advancements that have been made so far as agriculture is concerned, so far as animal husbandry is concerned, and allied sectors are concerned. You might be knowing that generally the conferences that have been organizing, they are very theme specific. I mean, maybe related to apiculture, maybe related to olericulture or horticulture, or to veterinary sciences, but rarely are the conferences organized which are very broad in nature, just like this name, current advances in agriculture, animal husbandry, and allied sciences. Because of late, the people, I mean, the people who are policymakers, the stalwarts, the scientists, they have also realized that there is a time that we should think about various sciences in an integrated manner. That's why integrated agriculture, concept of integrated nutrient management, integrated weed management, we have been listening about those things in our UGs, in our PGs. So now also uh, the policymakers also have come up with such ideas like natural farming, zero budget natural farming, and concepts like similar to these, like sustainable agriculture or integrated agriculture, because that is what is needed. Because see, being a fodder scientist, being associated with fodder research, the veterinarians really, if you ask any veterinarian regarding some varieties of, say, for example, forage crops, which is a very important input so far as animal husbandry is concerned, they may not be knowing the number of varieties that have been released in various forage crops. So they obviously need the knowledge of animal nutrition. They need the knowledge of forage crops. Similarly, if I talk about horticulture, for example, which is my topic as of now, hortipastoral systems. It is also, you might be knowing, you might have heard about agroforestry in UG classes, in PG as well, that this is a platform where several components like trees, like agricultural crops, like pasture, grasslands, animals, they are integrated on a single platform so as to diversify the products and to provide ample benefits in the form of what we call as ecosystem services. And we know that ecosystem services, you might be knowing that they are provisioning services, the direct benefits which we get from a particular system. There are indirect, intangible benefits that we get from a system in the form of efficient nutrient cycling or build up of organic matter or improvement of nutrient availability or some other benefits in the form of carbon sequestration or maybe other benefits. So I'll be specifically talking about the ecological analysis of hortipastoral systems, which is an agroforestry system which combines two enterprises, two very wonderful enterprises. One is horticulture sector and one is livestock sector. And you might be knowing that both these sectors, if I combine the figures of both these sectors, they contribute more than 60% to the gross domestic product at national level. And in some states, especially if I talk about temperate areas, in temperate region, we have Uttarakhand, we have Jammu and Kashmir, we have UT of Ladakh as well, we have Himachal Pradesh. They contribute more than 70% to the gross state domestic products of these respective states and union territories. So that is the importance of these two sectors. The presentation outline will be like what is the area that is available so far as agroforestry is concerned in the world. And I will be presenting a brief scenario about agroforestry in India. Then what is the link between agroforestry and forage production? Then giving some national scenario. Then I will be introducing a horticulture system, then forage production and ecosystem services, then what are the constraints that we face so far as this particular system is concerned. Then finally, I will be concluding my talk. Now, if you see the name agroforestry, as I already pointed out, that you might be well aware about the definition. And recently, in 2011, one more definition has come up. It has included some grazing lands and grazing animals. This is the international terminology for grazing lands and grazing animals that has defined agroforestry. There are several definitions, but in essence, they all refer to the practice of purposeful growing of trees, shrubs, crops, and animals in an interacting combinations, both ecologically as well as economically, for a variety of benefits and services. Now, the principal aim of any agro ecosystem, be it agroforestry or horticulture or any other system, is that it should be sustainable in nature. It should enhance environmental quality, because now there is a lot of talk going on so far as environmental sustainability is concerned. And it should conserve the resource base on which agriculture depends, whatever inputs we are using. And the basic input is land, for example. So land sustainability is very important. Then coming to area under agroforestry in the world, there have been some assumptions made by one of the stalwart of agroforestry research, that is PKR Nair. You might be knowing. He has written a very beautiful book, Introduction to Agroforestry. And as per his estimate, the total area under agroforestry in the world has been estimated up to the tune of 1023 million hectares in the world. And if we see, there are two agencies involved in agroforestry research in India. One is Central Agroforestry Research Institute, Jhansi, and second one, FSI, Forest Survey of India, Dehradun. They have also come up with some figures. So you might be saying that this is the percentage area of agroforestry in our country. And roughly, as per the data which has been provided by CAFRI, it is about 13.75 million hectares. And so far as Forest Survey of India is concerned, the area has been estimated to the tune of 11.54 million hectares, which is 3.39% of the geographical area of the country. And the states where agroforestry area is more, that is Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. Now, you might all have come to the term, knowing the term of allelopathy. There is a talk of that some tree species, they have allelopathic effect on the associated crops. But if we see the link between agroforestry and forage crops, the hypothesis that allelopathic effect hampers the growth of associated crops does not hold true so far as forage crops are concerned, because we are not interested in getting the grain, in getting the seed from the forage crops. We are interested in getting the biomass from the associated crops. So it has been observed that biomass production is more so far as agroforestry or horticulture systems are concerned. So it's a very good, output so far as this particular system is concerned. And if we see there, the farmers have less likening of forage crops. They are more concerned with cash crops. If I give the example of my valley, the farmers are more interested in apple, in walnut, in almond, or in south states, or in most of the states, they are interested in cotton, they are interested in sugarcane, but rarely they show interest in forage crops, which are very important so far as livestock sector is concerned. So, and the land is a major constraint. We don't have much land available. There are marginal and small farm holdings. So the limited land endowments make it difficult for the farmer to earmark adequate land for forage cultivation. They don't have enough land. So we have to look for niche areas. And one of the important niche areas is the fruit orchards. If I give the example of UT of J&K, we have more than 3.55 lakh hectares under fruit orchards. So the interspaces which remain vacant or which are invaded by lot of weeds, that area can be used for augmentation of forage resources. So, and our grazing lands, they have also shrunk. If I give the figure at the national level, the area under forage crops is roughly around 4%, and which has remained static over the several decades. So there is a need to, we can't increase the area, so we have to look for alternatives in the form of hortipastoral and silvipastoral systems. And at the same time, if you see the diversification of products at global level, the friends from NDRI might be knowing that there is an greater demand for animal products globally. So obviously, if there is a greater demand, so market is more. So we have to look for, and the livestock population has also increased. So we have to look for fodder resources. And one more thing, as per National Forest Policy of 1988, which is pertaining to forests, we should have at least 33% of area under forests. So the sole purpose, how we can increase we cannot plant forest trees everywhere. So we have to go for, say, for example, if one of the options is horticulture orchards, they also come under forest areas. Forest Survey of India takes horticulture area as the area that has been under forest cover. Then, as per the National Forest Policy of 1988, the provisions also say that there should be ample fodder available for the livestock. Then, if I give the report of the subgroup third on fodder and pasture management, which was released in 2011, they also advocate promoting fodder species under agroforestry initiatives. And if I talk about National Livestock Policy, which was promulgated in 2013, the major challenge that have been uh, responsible for the low productivity of livestock, and one of the main impediment is shortage of feed and fodder. And if I of late in 2014, when National Agroforestry Policy was promulgated, they also expressed the same things. Now, coming to horticulture system, we conducted a study here. So far as apple trees and forage crops are concerned, in collaboration with one of our ICR institutes, that is National Central Institute of Temperate Horticulture. This is a very important, as I mentioned, that there's a lot of scope that exists in introduction of fodder crops as intercrop in orchards, which has remained untapped. So there's a need that we should use interspaces, and it will give a big boost to livestock development. And if I see the definition, you can see that hortipastoral system involves integration of fruit trees with pasture and could be adopted with suitable techniques to augment forage resource availability. These are some of the photographs. You might be knowing that this is white clover crop, this is red clover crop, and this is a clean cultivated crop which is invaded often by weeds that damage fruit trees. So in a way, I can say that this is a necessary evil, just like transpiration is a phenomena which is often referred to as necessary evil, that we have to have this particular physiological process. Likewise, in fruit orchards, we have to use these interspaces, otherwise they will be invaded by invasive weeds. Now, there are some trade-offs and synergies between horticulture and livestock sector. The synergy is that they both contribute immensely to gross state domestic products, and they both are ideal strategies to provide food, nutrition, and income security to the people. And the challenge that these two sectors face, livestock sector faces the challenge of decreased fodder availability. And so far as horticultural orchards are concerned, or fruit orchards are concerned, uh, the main challenge is that a lot of weeds uh, come up in the interspaces, and we have to manage those weeds. So orchard floor management is vital. It's important to tree health, yield, and fruit quality. And the general standard practice is that we should have a vegetation tree row and a grass covered alleyway that effectively controls weeds and creates a favorable environment for fruit trees. Now, I already talked about that livestock are very important drivers of socio-economic upliftment, just like we have this horticulture sector. Then this figure has been given by the FAO that 4 of 5 highest value global commodities are from livestock. So that is the importance that livestock sector has. Then if I see, we used 4 crops. One is 2 legumes and 2 grasses. One two legumes I already mentioned about white clover and red clover. Then one of the grasses is tall fescue and red clover. So we used them in combination with apple. We used the variety red gold, and we could observe that grain fodder was maximum in tall fescue plus red clover combination, up to the tune of 29.47 tons per hectare. And you can see the diversification of outputs in the form of not only fodder, but crude protein also got enhanced. We got apple leaf yield. We recently conducted a study on apple leaf yield, apple leaf as a alternate fodder for livestock, and we could see that it had more than 10% crude protein, and it also helped in this enteric methane emission mitigation. So then we also get pruned wood biomass from the fruit trees, which is used invariably during winter season. You might be knowing about the kangdis, which we use, a fire pot, which we use during winter for warming ourselves. Then fruit yield, obviously, that's of paramount importance. Then this is the suitable fruit and fodder crops for different rainfall regimes, both in tropical and subtropical regions. The elevation is given, the rainfall is given, and the fruit crops and their cultivars, then the associated forage crops that are suitable for these fruit trees. That list has also been given. This has been provided by IGFRI, the study. Then this is the suitable fruit and forage crops for different zones in northwestern Himalayan region. These are the list. This is the list of grasses, and this is the list of legumes and the list of forage crops. And we have mainly four agroclimatic zones in temperate region. One is typical temperate that our valley has. Then intermediate zone. This is an intermediate zone where we are staying here. Then subtropical zone, that is Jammu, Samba, Katwa, etc. Then cold arid zone, that's the trans-Himalayan zone of Ladakh or Lahore Spiti in Himachal Pradesh. Then I was talking about ecosystem services from hortipastoral systems. We get provisioning services, we get regulating services, we get supporting services, and we get also cultural services from this particular system. If I talk about regulating services like pest and disease and climate regulation, then supporting services, build up of organic matter or organic carbon, improved biological nitrogen fixation because we are using legumes in the system. Then we know that today it is more than 430 ppm. So that is the we are facing today. This is a very great challenge. Then I already mentioned that why we use grasses and legumes as cover crops, because they provide a number of benefits like important fertility management tool, increase in nutrient availability, increase the soil organic matter. Then if we see the study of this using the combinations of various grasses and legumes, organic carbon and organic matter buildup was observed in these combinations. Then the constraints include there's a lack of awareness. Farmers, as I already mentioned, they don't have much knowledge about the fodder crops, about the POPs of package and practices of fodder crops. And these technologies are very much location specific. The study that holds true for a particular region may not be applicable for another region. So there's a need that we should go for location specific and region specific studies. Then they're since they are complex to design because there's a three-way interaction, because we are using animals, we are using forage crops, and we are using uh, horticultural trees as well. There is inadequate financial support from the government, insufficient research, extension, and capacity building. Then the future thrust is that there has to be a just like UT of JNK has come up with a project, holistic agricultural development project. There has been provisions have been kept for all the sectors of agriculture. So similar to that, we need further development boards as central as well as state level, like we have NDDB or NMPB or NHB. Thank you for your kind attention. Any questions? I will be glad to answer. دراسة برافو. دراسة. مم. آه. جميل.